Good evening, everybody. We want to welcome everybody out there to another edition of X Marks the Spot. I'm your host, Damien Seabrook, Area 5 Director for the South Carolina chapters of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. My home chapter is Xi Phi Lambda. And tonight we have two guests speaking on a topic that a lot of us are scared or have the lack of knowledge of knowing. I'll start with me. I have a lack of knowledge, and I found some things out in these last couple of days talking to these two phenomenal people in this field, this very important field that we have. And it's a tool, and it's something we have to have. So I want to welcome first Miss Jametta Myers, Delta
Good
Sigma
evening.
Theta,
Hello,
AIG
hello.
Financial.
Hello, hello.
Hey. And we want to welcome one of our chapter brothers, Brother J.K. Robinson, Alpha Phi Alpha, Xi Phi Lambda chapter.
So bless.
So blessed, so blessed. All right. These opinions, everything you hear today is not from Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated or Xi Phi Lambda. These are the opinions and the knowledge of the two professionals who's on it from AIG Financial. Again, we want everybody to understand that it is important to listen to the knowledge, but more importantly, do your own research. Do your own research, and at the end, we will make sure you have all the information you need to contact these two wonderful people. And so, without further ado, we need to get into the topic. This can be for any one of y'all. Any one of y'all could start. First of all, what is life insurance?
Jametta, you want to handle that or you want me to take it?
Sure, but doesn't matter. Well, life insurance is a way of uh, protecting your family. In the event of not only just protecting your family, there's lots of things that you can do with life insurance, but the premise of it and what we all know historically is when somebody dies, we know that we need to have an assurity in life insurance to take care of the final expenses. So life insurance has come a long way, but it's a contractual agreement between you and the company that they will protect you by you paying your monthly premiums, that in the event of your untimely death, they are contracted that they will provide your beneficiary with X amount of dollars at the time of death so that you can handle um, the funeral expenses. And that's one aspect of life insurance.
Jametta, I want to stay right there, Miss Myers. I want to stay right there. In our culture, why do we not take life insurance or having life insurance serious? If that's such a thing you can talk about.
It's true. That is definitely true. Unlike our grandparents and before, they knew the importance of it. They would sacrifice. Everybody can remember at some point in time the life insurance man coming to your grandmama's house with the book, right, giving them the little card where they made, their monthly premium, and they protected. You had some people in the family that took out life insurance on everybody, even people in the community. They saw the importance of it. Well, there have been some things that has happened along the way to us culturally where we were not probably provided or educated on the best kind of policies to take, and some folks have seen it as a ripoff in some instances. You want to interject here, Jakey?
Yeah. Life insurance protect the person or protect a family from certain risks.
Okay.
That's the most important part of it. Death benefits being or final expenses being one risk that it actually protects you from. It also protects you from loss of income. A family member dies, and you have a household income. One family member passes away, one income provider passes away. So life insurance could protect you from that risk of a loss of income. It can protect you from the risk of losing a home in the event of premature death. It can protect you. It can cover your kids' college funds in the event of a premature death. It can also
Mhm.
be used as supplemental retirement income. There are many ways that we weren't aware of as we grew because our folks were not aware of those things.
Right.
Correct.
They were just looking at death benefits because that's all that they were selling to uneducated life insurance users. My grandmother.
You can say it, brother Jakey. Go ahead and say it. We gotta be honest. We gotta
Yeah,
be honest. So go
a,
ahead
a
and
lot
say
of
it.
a lot of us of color were not educated on the
Hmm.
use of life insurance. We knew nothing about transferring wealth to our loved ones in the event of a premature death through life insurance.
Pause right there. Pause right there, brother Robinson.
Hmm.
I want you to go back to that part because where I came from and grew up from, all was out there. The narrative is I'm gonna have enough life insurance to bury me.
Hmm.
And so you had these low policies, and I had to go through it burying my dad.
Hmm.
And I remember him saying those things. I just need enough around here to bury me. And I wasn't educated enough to understand that this is one way that if you do pass away, your family could be set up really good in the event of that happens. So I want you to go back there and I
Hmm.
want you to take it back there because I want people to understand that this is not back in the days. You have an opportunity because we all got to leave here. We got to be honest, and that's why we got to have this conversation. We all going to leave here. So why would you leave here and put that stress and burden on your family when you can help propel them? Because you mentioned earlier about college, so I'll let the professional go. You can go, brother.
Okay, when it comes down to life insurance and the transfer of wealth to family members, um, there's no other avenue that's known to man now where you can take out a $500,000 policy, probably pay less than $50 a month, depending on your age and your health.
Right.
And if you got that policy today, and next week you get killed in a car accident, you've only paid less than $50 for that policy, but your family is getting a $500,000 check,
A life changing.
a
Life
life
changing.
changing $500,000 check. You can't save, even if in 10 years you're trying to save $500,000. That's awfully difficult. Even if you got killed in an accident or died of a natural cause in 5 years, with a $500,000 policy, you're transferring somebody else's wealth to your family.
Correct.
Can I use an example?
It's your platform, my brother. Have at it.
I had a client. He passed away a couple of years ago, and I'm sure because he told me I could use him in different things. He passed away a couple of years ago, and he lost his wife 2 years before he passed. So he told all his children, take out a policy on me because I don't think I'm gonna be here much longer since your mom is gone. Only one of his kids took him up on that because
Wow.
he said, I cannot leave. I don't have any money to leave you guys to make sure that you. So one of his kids took him up on that, and when he passed away, she was the only one that wealth was given to her. A form of wealth
Hmm.
was
Wow.
so
Wow.
so
That's
so for a very small monthly fee, and there was another client when I was at another insurance company. He left home one morning and he had two kids, two young kids. One of them was maybe about a year and a half. The other one's like maybe 3 or 4 years old. But he left home that morning, and he lived in Isle of Palms, and he he never made it back home. But he had a $1.7 million policy,
Life changing. Life
life
changing.
changing to his family.
But I want to go back to something that you
Go ahead.
asked, why, why don't we either take it serious? And I think part of it is education,
That's right.
because we have not been properly informed about it. And it's also our priorities. And when I say we, I'm talking about brown people that look like me and
Mm-hmm.
you.
Mm-hmm.
We culturally, we have a kind of different set of priorities. We don't see some of us, we don't really see the seriousness in it and having it. We just have a different set of priorities, good, bad, or indifferent. But again, it's our priorities, and it's education. We tend to, and I hate to, I'm not stereotyping, but we tend to we give more priorities to things like cars, like, just those other things. You ask them about how much life insurance do they have. Oh, I don't have any. I don't have any. Oh, what do I need that for? I mean, you'd be surprised at some of the responses that you hear
Right.
from folks. I mean, I have been in appointments with couples. People appear to be educated and sensible. And when you talk to them about life insurance, I can guarantee you one of the spouses, and I hate to say this
We'll
because I'm
say,
the only female on this platform, but you will hear responses that come from the male. Oh, I'm not leaving her that kind of money. Why am I going to leave her that kind of money? And then she going to bring some other man in here. Well, that's not even what it's about.
yeah,
Are
Facts.
you, do
she was,
you not, do you not want your wife, the life that you all have built together? Do you not want her to maintain that life so she doesn't have to get you know? So it's just really disturbing. But again, it's priorities. And I've gone into homes, no life insurance, but they got 4, 5 flat screen TVs up, the super ultra cable, the car got rims, and you have no life insurance.
Okay, Jametta. So this is a platform, and I am a person who likes to be real. Um, you're correct. Okay, you're
Mhm.
correct. So keep what you got, because every time I pause, y'all, is to go where we need to go. We want to know why. We want to know why other coaches get ahead. Now I know it's a few things.
Mm-hmm.
But life insurance is one reason, because I have personal friends of other coaches that their dad or mom or grandmother died
Mhm.
and they had to come up. But
That's right.
but guess what they did? They did other things. Guess what I see a lot of our people do? Cars, rims, all of that other stuff. And before you know it, 6 months later,
It broke.
they're broke.
Nothing to show for. Then the doggone car gets repossessed because the credit was not good and they had this high interest rate.
Mm,
I had a young lady that's out there by Saluda Hydro in Colombia.
mhm.
Um, she was the beneficiary of a quite a large sum policy. So when I spoke to her about uh, the money that she was getting, she said, "Well, I'm doing pretty good as it is, because I'm a retired this and retired that." She said,
Mhm.
"Can you help me with this money?" So we put her in an annuity, and from that annuity, she put that up for her children's children. We don't
Mm.
we don't use that concept, but that's a biblical principle. And she laid that aside for her children's children, which are her grandchildren. But we as a people, we hear the principle, we know the principle, but we don't react to it as we should, being believers that we are.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. So we got that out. I'm sure everybody who's tuning in, whether they know or not, have heard those same jargon, the same lingo, in our families and communities, and that speaks to what I spoke to y'all about off stage about research. You know, people bring us things and we accept it, and
Mm.
so when you can do your own research, especially in this day and time now,
Exactly.
it's Google. We didn't have that back then, so I'm going to give my my parents and their parents and y'all parents and friends that information wasn't readily available for us. So you know we really can't punish them
No, right.
for that.
Right.
But we have to make sure people nowadays, whether you're my age, I'm 45, older or younger, especially Jakey and Jametta, the younger kids who are entering this work field. You enter, let's go with us black folks. We enter and we may enter from a space of not saving, not being financially ready. We've all have been there.
Mhm.
And that's why we have this show to try to bring things and educate everybody. But I can tell you, I wish I had known and started things earlier. So for me, I have 5 life insurance policies. I have 5. I have 3 with my job, and I have 2 on the. You know why? I added 2 more because when I had the birth of my son 2.5 years ago, I never thought about what you said because I've heard Jametta about leaving it for somebody. Listen, she can leave you right now while you still living. Okay.
Right.
But I looked at it from a standpoint of college, one,
Mm-hmm.
for my kid, or whatever his endeavor may be. I look forward to make sure that it's enough money around here that my wife will do the right thing, and make sure Liam is taken care of in all aspects, and for her to live and
Mm-hmm.
for her to put up that wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I got over what I need, even when I did the need analysis, brother Jake and brother Jametta.
Okay.
People was
Glad
like,
you brought that up.
yeah, people was like, you do realize you got. I said, you know what I got. I don't have you here to
Mhm.
tell me what I got. I have you here to tell me where I need to go and what I need to go. I already know what I have.
That's right.
But
Mm-hmm.
I want to be here because if I close my eyes, I want my family to be on straight, not just straight, be on straight. And so we got to make sure we hammer that in with this segment in the time we have a
You
lot.
don't you don't want your family's lifestyle to change. If
Right.
anything, you want
Yes,
your family's
because
life.
I'm no longer here.
That's
To-
right. You want your family lifestyle to be enhanced
Correct.
because even with that enhancement, you will be. No, my daddy did this for me.
It-
You have something. If you was a dad that did not do that, your wife maybe would wind up getting remarried so she can take care of those things and not have her lifestyle to change. So you may
Exactly.
be a forgotten part of the legacy that you're building with the insurance policies that you've already gotten. You're leaving a legacy. You will always be remembered in the sights of your children and her
Right.
as not only a good husband, but a good father and someone that wanted to make sure that his family was well taken care of in the event of a premature death.
Now, with that being said, either one of y'all can go. Give me the type of policies or coverages, or let's go back because Jametta, you said it. I believe you said it. The need analysis. Let's go with
Correct.
the need analysis, and let's go either one of y'all with the type of coverages that is best for
Okay.
life insurance.
All right. So the needs analysis is a great way to educate you, your family, you as an individual, if you're getting it, or husband and wife, or just whatever your circumstances are. The needs analysis gives you a snapshot view of how much coverage you would need. It takes into consideration, hey, how much the conversations that we don't want to have. If I die, how much would you want how much do you want me to spend on the funeral? Well, the average cost of a funeral today is about 8 to 12 if you want to be really elaborate, like we can be sometimes. You're talking 15 plus thousand, the 3, 4, 5 family cars. Why?
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't want to get off on a tangent. But the average cost of a funeral could be 8 to about why are you laughing? 15,000. But the things that you can incorporate in your needs analysis, you can incorporate your debt fund to help you pay outstanding loans, credit cards, balances. Also incorporate an emergency fund because you should have at least 3 to 6 months. Really, in today's time, probably even longer, but you should have at least 3 to 6 months incorporated. Save that. You can incorporate that in your needs analysis as well, because that would come in under that living benefit and needing it while you have it now. Your mortgage. If you've got a 30-year mortgage right off the rip, somebody's got a 30-year mortgage right now, I can tell you, I know you need a 30-year term. If you just recently purchased a house, it just make, education, you can incorporate that in. Income replacement, as to what Jakey stated earlier. And even on top of that, let's just say we're all members of a Greek organization. We can either factor in leaving a legacy or leaving some amount to our Greek organization. You can incorporate that in your life insurance as well. Obviously, have it set up, have it set up in a trust, or when you designate your beneficiaries, you could do all that. So you do a quick snapshot of a needs analysis. It gives you a bottom line balance. And this is where you need to be true to yourself. Don't tell me what you think I want to hear, or what we want to hear. You need to be true to yourself. And your spouse needs to be aware of it as well, if you're married, your partner, just whatever. So it gives you a fine line balance. It incorporates, if you have any other insurance, you would subtract that from whatever that number is. And that gives you a pretty realistic number if you've been true with us and true to yourself. Now, when it comes to work insurance, I typically don't factor that in, simply because if the job leaves you or you leave the job, depending on the type of coverage you have, if it's portable, then yes. But if the coverage isn't portable, then it's kind of like hidden or secret life insurance, just because if you leave the job or the job leaves you, that coverage ends when you leave.
Okay. Right there.
Okay.
So if you stop the job, the insurance may not go with you, correct? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. So what people who's tuning in, who may look at this video later, you might want to ask your job when you leave, is the insurance portable? Am I correct? I'm asking.
Yes.
Okay.
You need to find out if it's portable coverage.
Okay. So if it's not portable coverage, what should that person do?
You need to get yourself a policy outside the scope of work. Outside the scope of work. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Let's back up to the needs analysis. Jametta said something. If you got a 30-year mortgage, you may want a 30-year term. That's awesome. But most times, not only will you need that 30-year term, you will also need a permanent policy also.
Correct.
Because if you outlive the 30-year term, you want to make sure that you've got a permanent policy that's going to last you for the rest of your life. The other
Correct.
point to that, you don't have to pay for that other policy for the rest of your life. It could be set up as a 20-year pay, a
Mm-hmm.
15-year pay, where once you have paid on those policies for 15 or 20 years, it's a paid up policy. And if it's the right type of policy and it's still earning money
If it's
and
funded
growing
properly. Yeah.
and still growing, even as you continue to live, not paying any premiums on that policy, the cash benefit of that policy grows. That can help
As you.
you in your retirement ages. And we call that supplemental retirement income.
Mm.
And it
So
just really,
go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. And
No,
I
no,
just
go
gonna say that what Jakey's talking about, right? You can have what's called, we call that a duo portfolio, where you
Mm.
have a combination of the two. You have a term, and then you have that permanent coverage as to what he's talking about. But it also too affordability, because everybody's wallet is different. So
Right.
you may not be able to beginning if this is your first time being introduced to life insurance in this manner, you see the need, you may not be able to afford a duo portfolio.
Okay.
Term, which is one that, it's you can get a lot for. I always say you can get a lot of insurance for a little bit of money because you may need to start basic, and that's fine. But the key is to have something. Realize what you would leave behind if you win and if you die, and have a plan in place so that your family doesn't have to pass the hat. You
And
don't
every,
have to do a GoFundMe or
and
going
every
around begging your family members, and they're going to be talking about you because you had to borrow money for them because they didn't have, you know what I mean?
and every
So,
few years, take out your policies, take out what you have, and every year or two, review what you have with your family and your life insurance professional. Because as your needs change, having a
mhm,
baby 2 years ago, having a son born 2 years ago, you had to review where you were 2 years ago in order to prepare for the next phase of life. So do a policy review, look at where you are, look at what's changed, because even starting out with what you can afford, 2 years later, you may be able to afford to do more that
exactly.
can benefit your family and your situation than you did when you first got your first policy. So do policy reviews. Sit down with
Mhm,
a professional. Make sure you sit, and you're doing a policy review in the likelihood of completing another needs analysis for a changing situation.
With that being said, I think people need to know the difference between the policy because it's easy to go call somebody, know somebody, and you need to know. Again, you should do your own research, the different types. Because, example, term life, whole life, cash value. Um, I think people need to know the difference on how to to navigate that. So
Jakey, why don't I'll take term, Jakey, and why don't you do permanent?
Okay.
So, in looking at term, think of term in terms of renting. Okay, so you buy it for a period of time. So you pay your rent every month.
right.
There's no equity. You're just paying to have that insurance. So you buy it in periods of time. It is the least expensive way to get a lot of coverage. So if you've got and when I say a small budget, you know what's small to you. What I mean, so for a 35-year-old, well, I'll go back to say a 30-year-old. 30-year-old could probably get about $500,000 to $1 million worth of coverage for what, maybe $23, Jakey, 20, 30, not even about 20 something dollars. Pending again, of course, on your health and your driver's record, because depending on the company, those are all things that can factor into your rate. Your health, height, and weight. Guess what? marijuana smoking. You smoke weed, that can be an issue there. As far as, the type of company, because in the state of South Carolina, marijuana is still considered a drug. But there are companies that we represent that will insure you, even though you are a social marijuana user. Okay. So term, there's no one fit. And even with term policies, we do have a policy that's called return of premium term, which means, and they came into play because, as Jakey stated earlier, people are living longer. Women live longer. Yay. Because we drive y'all crazy. No, I'm just kidding. But women women live longer than men. I think last time it was like 81 to 83, 85, something like that. But anyway, but you have return of premium term because people are living longer. So it's a way that you can get money back if you outlive the term, because it's a gamble. If you can tell me right now when you're going to die, I declare I'll give you, never mind what I'll give you, but if you can tell me when you're going to die, so it's a gamble, but you want to make sure that you gamble safely. So term is like I said, it's like renting. You're not building any equity unless you have a return or premium term that will, over a period of after the 20-year term or whatever the length of term is. Some of the terms will give you back 100% of your premiums. Some of the terms will give you back 50%. It just depends on the company. And essentially, that's the way term works. But it does have what's called accelerated benefit riders, which are living benefits. In the event that you become critically, chronically, and or terminally ill, you can accelerate, you can go ahead and advance your death benefit like right now. All the terms basically kind of have that feature on. And those were designed because with the advancement of medical, the medicine, and then being able to keep you alive and keep you living longer, how really is your quality of living? So, one time back, somebody had a heart attack, they were dead. Technically now, you hear people all the time have heart attacks and they're still alive. But how is their quality of living? So, Jakey, you want to talk about the other ones?
Yeah,
we're gonna pause right there, brother Jakey.
okay.
Awesome George, put the first question on the screen, and one of y'all can ask. Can y'all see that?
Yes.
Okay, I would suggest that you, as soon as possibly feasible, put the question back up. I didn't get the second part. Okay,
what product
recommend for college? Okay,
graduate.
I would. The younger you are, the better it is, and the younger your children are, the better it is also. And the younger you are, the better your health. For one thing,
correct.
The older you get, your health may deteriorate.
Right.
Okay, so the earlier you start to looking at a life insurance as a form of investment, it would be better. I wrote down something today as I was thinking, like the 529 plan for college funding. The 529 plan is good. The only thing about the 529 plan, it has to be used for educational purposes. Okay, if you have a child that is not going to go to college and you have invested into a cash value life insurance policy, which is one of the permanent policies, and you're looking at an investment that is going to grow over the years, within that, you can actually do the college funding out of that cash value life insurance policy. And you have no tax, you've deferred everything. Taxes will not be, because it's a death benefit. You're just taking your money out in increments to help with college. Right. You can even use that cash value life insurance policy to help your child if they're buying a home. You could do that down payment for them. No tax implications on that either. So you cannot do that with a 529 plan if they're not going to continue their education. So that's why I look at cash value whole life policies, not whole life, but it also IULs, which is universal policies. You can use those for cash value implications also. And if none of this happened, you don't pay tuition, you don't help them with a down payment, or don't help them buy a car, that money stays in there, and you live to a certain age, you can use that as supplemental retirement income to go
Mm,
along with your Social Security, to go along with any other thing that you have. You
Right.
cannot do that with a 529 plan. So I hope I answered that question that was flashed up there. Your investment into insurance should start as soon as possible. You're not looking at death benefits. You're looking at the future of your family. You're looking at not only the future of your family, you're looking at your retirement at the same time. If you don't die prematurely, retire on it.
right. And so, Brother Jay, yeah, glad you spoke on that because I have a 529 plan too. So I'm gonna tell you my rationale. I shouldn't tell you that because y'all probably gonna shoot me down. So
No, no,
my thing
no.
was education that can pay for. If I pass away, everything else is here you go.
Okay.
So I used it in a two-part because I knew exactly. I read the fine print and I did the research on that. On that one.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, you can't really get anything out of it, but if I can get that education paid for the sacrifices I got now, and when God called me home, all the rest of that don't have to come out. You see what I'm saying? What
Exactly.
the other stuff. So that's
Mm-hmm.
Was your
why
rationale?
I use that. So we have another question, Brother George. Could you put that on the screen? What do you recommend for someone who is diagnosed with breast cancer and can't get coverage for at least 5 years? What should be done in the meantime? Good question.
Well, it really just depends. Well, there are policies out there that are called graded insurance policies. And the way that graded insurance policy works is they were designed for people that have health issues like cancer, like, you know, critical chronic illnesses that have made it so that you're not insurable. Depending on your age, those coverages are there for you. They're automatically given. The face amounts on them, though, are usually not high face
Limit.
amounts. Like some of them cap off at 25,000. That is the max that you can get, and it is on a probationary period. So most of them have what's called a 2-year probationary and or contestability period, and you have to outlive the 2 years in order for it to pay its full benefit. Example, you have a graded policy, you take out a $25,000 policy. Today, we're in the year 2023, so you would need to live to 2025 for it to pay its full 25,000. The longer you live, the more you get paid on it.
But you're not losing your money. Because
Correct.
if something is, say you die within that first 2 years, you will get the premiums that you paid in. And most companies are doing up to a 10% interest on the premiums. There's one company that we do have that you can get a graded policy that pays in increments of 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year.
Mm-hmm.
If you die within that first year, you can get 30% of the face amount. And if you die within that second year, I think it's 70% of the face amount. And the third year, you get 100% of the face amount. That's a good policy. It's also a graded policy. If you have some health issues, you're guaranteed to be approved. Really, it's just that it has a limited payout of 30, 70, and 100%. Well, the 100% is not limited. Or the 30 and the 70 for the first 2 years. But you still can get the coverage.
And that's something good to know because even when I was doing insurance stuff, and I have high blood pressure, hereditary, and I caught issues with that, and I'm like, okay, but I caught issues with that, and so that was great because I never even heard of graded coverages, which is great, and I'm sure people out there who's probably listening, and we'll see this later, maybe have some underlying health issues, and that's something great for them to have, and they also know So when they talk to people, I did find out the more you know, the more it's like, oh, how you know? It's kind of like, well, shouldn't you have told me that? You know what I'm saying? But you telling me this. And so that comes with doing research and seeing things. And we all at the fingertips of information now. You just have to make sure what you're looking at is as accurate as possible. So we're gonna move from there because it's two things left important that we need to cover. What is the importance of annuities?
Annuities will protect your money, your principal. If you have a 401k, for example, and you have retired, please don't leave your 401k where it is, because that's in a mutual fund. Move that, which is on the market. Move that 401k to an annuity, which is not a market item.
Right.
Well, index annuity, that's not a market item. That means you will never lose your principal. Say you have $100,000, you move that $100,000 over to an annuity, it will be there. You will never lose the principal. You will gain return on your money. And if the market has a downturn, what you gain and where you gain will remain there. Say you went from 100,000 to 115,000. The market has a downturn. You remain at that 115,000 until the market from that downturn starts coming back up. Then your money starts to growing again.
Oh, didn't know.
Yeah, that effect is called the power of zero, is what it is. It's called the power of zero. As Jakey said, the market does good, you do good. If the market bottoms out when you were doing good, you freeze. You basically kind of stay right there and you don't lose.
I did send a slide to some, I don't know whether they got it yet.
I got you. You. Just follow me. I got you, brother. So with that being annuities, like I just said, give me a quick analysis on 401 on what you think. Either one of y'all.
401ks are good if your employer is matching any portion of what you're putting in there. Don't give up on free money. If they're matching it, that's called free money. But once I'm not gonna turn down free money. But once you get to a point of retiring and they're no longer matching anything, do what we call a 1035 exchange to an annuity and protect your money where it's at. Get it away from that mutual fund, because that mutual fund, like I said, is still a market product, and the stock market can go up and down, and you may never recover from the downturn if you leave that money in that 401k.
Correct.
Now that you say that, Awesome George, can you please play that clip about 401ks, please?
The effects of the current.
Oh, he got his fast forward on.
But in fact, the 401k plans that have become the primary source of retirement income for 60 million Americans were never designed to be retirement plans in the first place. They were created in the late 1970s as a savings plan and tax shelter for ordinary Americans. The idea was that workers would make voluntary contributions and employers would match a portion of them. The taxes would be deferred until the employee reached the age of 59 and a half. It was supposed to supplement the two traditional income streams for retirees, Social Security and pensions, one leg of a three-legged stool that would support American workers into their golden years. But it didn't turn out that way.
The three-legged stool, if you will, has gone to two legs, and it's wobbly, and it's wobbling, and I'm not sure that it's going to support anything. And that's the scary part, and people are afraid.
Brooks Hamilton has helped design retirement plans for some of the country's largest corporations. He says 401ks turned out to be so much cheaper than funding pensions that many companies decided to freeze their pension plans and replace them with 401ks. The decision created millions of new employee investors for Wall Street and the financial community, and they pounced on the opportunity.
If you go back and track the mutual fund growth in assets, and you track the growth in 401k plans, it looks like a railroad track leading to the sky. They are parallel tracks.
So the big beneficiaries were the mutual funds.
That's right. That's correct. The fact is that the typical 401k investor is a financial novice. They don't know a stock from a line. And we give them a list of 20 or 30 mutual funds with really, really powerful names. You know, they sound like, gee, that's where I want to have my money.
What are generally the quality of the mutual funds and 401k plans?
Mediocre. I'm going to be real honest with you. With half the funds on the list, really dogs, what people would characterize as dogs, shouldn't be on the list to start with.
There clearly has been a raid on these funds by the people of Wall Street, and it's cost the savers and the future retirees a lot of money that would otherwise be in their account, independent of the financial collapse.
Representative George Miller of California is chairman of the House Committee on Education and Labor and a staunch critic of the 401k industry, especially its practice of deducting more than a dozen undisclosed fees from its clients' 401k accounts.
Now you got a bunch of economic wizards jumping in and taking money out of your retirement plan, and they don't want to tell you how much. You can't decipher it in simple English, and they're not interested in disclosing it or having any transparency about it.
And most of the people that look at their 401ks have no idea that these fees are being taken out.
No. Where would you find it? Where would you find these fees in this prospectus? You can look on any page you want, and when you're all done reading it, and you will find some of the fees and the commissions here, but you won't find them all, and I bet you won't find half of them.
There are legal fees, trustee fees, transactional fees, stewardship fees, bookkeeping fees, finder's fees, and the list goes on and on. Miller's committee has heard testimony that they can eat up half the income in some 401k plans over a 30-year span, but he has not been able to stop it.
We tried to just put in some disclosure and transparency in these fees, and we felt the full fury of that financial lobbying.
David Ray, a lobbyist for the 401k industry, says he favors disclosing the fees, but his partners in the financial industry don't.
You think most people know these fees exist?
I think they know that there are fees. They don't know exactly how large they are.
I learned something. I learned something very valuable when I was given that clip, and I didn't know that. And that's one thing why I say we need to research what we put our money into versus what we have been told. And I am guilty of that. And I found that out. And I have a 401k plan, as I'm sure everybody who's watching and everybody who's watching this probably has a 401k plan too. And it's not bad, as y'all saying, but you just got to know how to navigate it when it's time to navigate that. And so that was very self-explanatory. I don't know what more we need to do about that, but we do have one question left. Awesome, George. Can you explain whole life return? Who may not, we did we talk about that?
We did.
All right, one more time, short version.
Whole life, you have it for your whole life.
Right.
As long as you pay the premiums, or you get a paid up policy for, like, if you paid for 20 years, you paid up policies 20 years, you still have it for your entire life. A term policy lasts a certain period of time. You can get it for 10, 15, 20, 30, but it only lasts. And the thing is, if you outlive it, most term lives do not have return of premium, but if you do have a return of premium term life policy, you can at least get a portion or all of your premiums back after that term is over. So it's like you rented that coverage for whatever the time is if you have a return of premium policy. If it's a straight term, you don't get anything back out of it if you outlive it.
You're renting, just like renting.
But if it has an accelerated benefits rider on there and something happens, you have a heart attack, stroke, or one of those critical, terminal, or chronic illness, draw that money, get that money, because if you don't and you outlive that term, you will have nothing.
Okay, perfect. Awesome, Jaws. Next question. What about a retirement plan? Should you leave that at a former employee if you're no longer there? If not, can it be moved to an annuity? If not an annuity, then where?
Yeah.
If you have a retirement plan at your company and you can move that to an annuity, do so at all costs. Because if you don't, it will cost you in the long run if it stays in that mutual fund. Because, like I
It's
said,
in the market.
that mutual fund is a market product, stock market product,
And
the
you have
stock
to
market,
and you have to consider your age too. You know, you said earlier, Seabrook, that you're 45. So technically, if you want to look at it from a mathematical, you have technically 20 more years left to work. You know, you'll be at 65.
Mhm.
Somebody like myself, who I'm in my last quarter of work, you know, I can't be as aggressive as you can be. You can be more aggressive than I could be. I
Okay,
need to be right now where I am. I need to be more
conservative.
safe haven.
Yeah.
I'm more because I can't afford a big dip or a big loss because you know I don't have that much many work years left. So you
And,
have to look at your age, you have to look at how aggressive, you know, you should be, I would say you should be your most aggressive when you're younger because you got still a lot of years left to work. However, now this generation that's behind us, they're a different breed. So you know they not
when it comes to annuities, we do a needs analysis, but we also do a suitability profile
correct.
to see exactly what your risk level may be. You may be more aggressive in what you're doing, what you're trying to do. You may be moderate. At my age, I am conservative. Because any loss at my age may not live to see it recover. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we do what is called a suitability profile to make sure. And one thing we don't want to do, we don't want to put you in an annuity and you can't live.
Correct.
We want to
Right.
make sure that what we put you in an annuity, moving yourself to an annuity, that you still have funds to make sure that you can take care of yourself and do what you need to do for its lifestyle.
Because
Correct.
annuities are designed for the long haul. You know,
Yes.
if you think this is, and they have different, you know, they have 7-year, 10-year annuities as well, but it's designed for the long haul. So once again, when we talked earlier about that priority, it has to be a priority. You have to be mature about it and know, hey, look, this is for the long haul. This is just not for me to put it in for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Oh, and then I'm going to take the money out. No, it's designed for the long haul. So there's, you know, maturity level there and priority that needs to be set aside and a commitment that this is what I'm going to do.
You you
Exactly.
you know what? And I'm going to end on this note. At the bottom of the ticket, as you can see, there's some contact information to contact J.K. Robinson, and of course his partner Jametta will be right there. It will be on the ticker at the bottom of the screen. It's on the bottom of my screen, and also we will put it inside the comments once this video is finished on Facebook. Um, you know, I think we need to change the narrative on this. And this may need to be something that's in college. College needs to be teaching this. Um, you know, it's kind of, I guess you could say high school, but people not,
Mhm.
you know, most people in college workforce, but most people head it off. It needs to be taught early the importance of doing that, and from an employer standpoint.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I can tell you it's just what you want, 401k, or what you want, a 457. And there's no like uh information about it and all of this and the breakdown. I think um we need to break down and do things better. And again, information is at these now folks fingertips, whereas we's well in the workforce. So with that being said, I really want to thank y'all as we close. You know, Awesome George is on the time. As we close, again, George, can we put that ticker back up there for me one more time? And then we'll close out. I want to really thank Jametta Myers, Delta Sigma Theta, and brother J.Q. Robinson, Alpha Phi Alpha. And we have to come back and do this, and we may have to figure out some type of way to maybe reach these colleges and take the platform from here bigger, because each one teach one, and we got to do a better job, because everybody's not going to see this, and we need to do institutional wise, in my opinion, as they need to teach an institution financial literacy. We really need to do that. Again, I appreciate y'all. Thank you. And I promise you, we're going to get y'all back in the near future and do something more in depth with more time, because this is a very important topic. I love y'all. To all our viewers, thank you. Appreciate you. And
you're welcome.
Look
Anytime.
at it on another time. Thank y'all.
Thank
Awesome,
you.
George, you're the man.
All right. Good night.
Good night.